Defensive Player of the Year. I know you're excited to talk about who is on the list because it's none only than friend of the show, Duran with a capital R in the middle of his name, Bland.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it all year, Defensive Player of the Year, Deron Bland. We saw that Seahawks game. We saw how much of a Defensive Player of the Year he was, or should I just say defensive person on that team.
Yeah.
Defensively guarding the end zone or defensively trying to chase after, DK Metcalf and other players there. So he's a defensive player. That is for sure. Whether he's the best defensive player, that is another conversation.
Yeah.
Also, we have Max Crosby.
Shout out to Max. Yeah.
We love Max
Crosby's
Crosby.
Killing it. I like everything Max Crosby's about. He has a good interview with Sean Strickland. They're kind of talking about how they've overcome some like childhood issues, whether it's with addiction or struggling with other substance abuses. He's someone who's really set the standard for just being someone who goes out, gets after it, and just being an all-around great athlete. So shout out to Max Crosby for being on this list. I don't think he is the Defensive Player of the Year, but I'm glad to see him showing up here. Then we have Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons, two dominant defensive players, but haven't really shown up for their teams in the big spots when they needed them. I know Myles Garrett had a lot of great moments earlier in the season, but kind of fizzled out here. Would you pick either of those over TJ Watt, who's also on this list?
If we're going to argue any of the two, I would argue Myles Garrett, just because of how great that defense was and how much it carried them when they were going through all that quarterback turbulence. And I know that towards the end of the season, he was facing a lot of different injuries, and I think that's part of the reason why he slowed down.
Yeah.
If there's anybody, I think, who is the Defensive Player of the Year who isn't TJ Watt, it's probably Myles Garrett, because we joke about Deron Bland being Defensive Player of the Year. He won't be. Max Crosby had a great season. He won't be either. And Micah Parsons certainly won't be, unless if the media really hyperrates that there. So I'd say Myles Garrett, if it's not TJ Watt.
Yeah, if Micah Parsons wins, there should definitely be an investigation into that.
Yeah, 100%.